in so that it was matching and then only had to pick a pair of pants like the blue and the gray or, makes it easy to. So I think, I'm just saying, if it's like those pure animals. Can't go wrong with the shirt and pants.
Okay, let's call to order the July 2nd, 2026 Town of New Paltz Police Commission meeting. Stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're gonna start this evening's meeting with some interviews. A couple of folks have expressed interest in serving as police commissioners, so we're gonna start with Tara Fitzpatrick. So tell us a little bit about your interest in serving on the Town of New Paltz Police Commission.
Sure. I was on the police commission when it had been disbanded. And actually, I was looking through my notes and it was a year ago this week that I was on an interview for being reinstated on the police commission because I did want to try and complete my term, which expired December 31st, 2026. So I just wanted to, express my interest in continuing on the police commission because I did believe in its mission of transparency and accountability. And one of the things that I really valued about being on the police commission was the opportunity to do trainings with the officers, whether it was the anti-racism or when they did their defensive tactics, the opportunity to see the training that they received so that when issues did come up, I had a context in which to understand the experiences that they had and the training that they had. And one of the reasons why I was interested in serving on the police commission originally was before I retired from the Dutchess County Department of Health. I was a sexual assault forensic nurse examiner and worked with the prosecutors and police crime victims and felt that I had a really good understanding of the tension between advocating for patients' rights and what they desired and the police and law enforcement's need to ensure public safety. So I felt I could hold that tension.
Right. Did you see the questionnaire for prospective commissioners?
I was out and Karen sent it at 1:00. I had filled that same questionnaire back when I made the original interest. I think that was back in 2022 when Essie was still the liaison for the town. So there is one on record that I had completed.
Okay. Any other questions right now for my colleagues?
I since you immediately foregrounded your interest in transparency and accountability, I just wanted to hear you talk a little bit more about what that means in this context for you.
What it means in this context for me is being able to be available to the community in what and how they are experiencing our town of New Paltz Police. One of the things that I always did do when my schedule allowed was to go to conversations with the police, whether it was Chief Lucchese who was there or Chief Sutton, or it was one of the officers, in order to see and hear what our community was interested in talking about. And again, just really open to whatever needs to happen for that, being able to hold that tension between what police need to do and what the public expects in terms of public safety.
Thanks.
Do you have a question, Sean?
How long was the police commission in existence? Like, did you join it at the very beginning or like?
I don't think so. I think that there was a police commission
Okay.
and then there was a hiatus and then they advocated or advertised for others. And I had recently moved to New Paltz. I've only lived in New Paltz about 3 years. Originally lived in Plattekill, up from the Bronx, just, so that was, when I applied was when I had seen, the call for volunteers
Okay.
in the newspaper.
No, I was just trying to, I didn't know how long it existed for before. You might know that. How long, do you know how long?
There's been several, police commission was in place, then it was disbanded or came back to the town board. I believe Para was part of the group after Reform and Reinvention with 2020, when they brought it back to a civilian commission.
Okay,
I believe Para was one of the
So
founding members of that.
the 2020, so it was like about 5 or 6 years.
22, yeah.
Okay.
It had to be because I've only lived in New Paltz for the last 3 years and I wouldn't
Okay.
have been eligible because I wouldn't have been a resident of New Paltz.
So not so much from when you attended like the visits with police officer, like outside of the meetings, but like when you were at a police commission meeting, can you provide a couple of examples in terms of what you felt were, particularly useful, in terms of where you feel like the police commission can add value?
I really felt that when we had our public input and people would come forward with their asks or their questions, I do think that there was an opportunity to do better follow-up of some of the issues that were raised for the police commission to follow up in terms of things that were brought up in the police commission meeting. Some of it had to do with I'm at a loss because I didn't review my notes, but there were things that had come up and Tom or Edgar would ask us if we had followed up on it. And I know that being a volunteer position, it wasn't always easy to be able to get the answers.
Well, I guess what I was looking for is more of an example of where you felt that your service on the police commission was particularly useful or helpful, like something that you're proud of that you accomplished as a police commissioner.
That besides being knowledgeable about what the police and the policies and the different things that,
Any
Yeah.
example you'd like to share?
that's a good question. I think being as part of a team, one of the things that I really appreciated was the collaboration that I had with the other police commissioners in order to come to consensus about things that we were going to move forward to. So I think that kind of camaraderie and give and take that the commissioners themselves were involved in really, I felt like we were able to have, some real consensus about moving forward on various things.
Can you elaborate on like an example of something where you built consensus and you felt like, the end result was particularly useful?
I think that most of what I'm probably envisioning were the things that happened behind, during executive.
Oh, so executive session. Topics.
Exactly.
Where it would be inappropriate to divulge what they would
Right.
be now. I see. Okay.
Okay.
But you could at least describe like the topic or like what it was related to, like without naming names or details.
Yeah, I think sometimes that the tension that would happen as a result of certain actions, we were able to, talk about in the executive session and come to a consensus about moving forward, whether it was under Chief Lucchese or under Chief Sutton.
Mm-hmm. Guys want to jump in with any other questions? I was going to pull up the ones that make sure I didn't miss anything from what William Sharnock shared with us.
I think given the inability to talk about specifics, it sort of hampers my further lines of questioning.
Yeah.
Do we want to do meeting in public and also meeting in private so that we can talk about?
Yeah, we
Thanks.
could do that.
All right, so we'll
Use the mic so everyone
Sorry.
can hear. You can describe what you just whispered to me too.
Sorry. I just said, we should probably have a public interview and a private video for each candidate so that they can speak freely in this kind of situation where someone has confidential information about an employee. It would be completely inappropriate for that person to talk about it. We have had officials who've done that, and that's illegal. You shouldn't do that. So kudos to you for not answering inappropriate questions.
So we can do that, because so we have two candidates, yourself and Bob Gabrielli, who we're going to talk to tonight. We definitely have to.
So just meet all three and then go in the back and meet all three
Well,
again.
What I was going to say is that we only have two tonight because
Oh.
the third individual is not here.
Yeah.
So, we can almost have this be like a introductory meeting, and then we could schedule a subsequent meeting where we could talk an exec session, especially since, you've had exec session experiences that we could discuss.
Sure. And I would appreciate if my previous application questionnaire, because when I looked at it, it looked exactly the same. And I don't think that much of the information on that has changed. One of the reasons why besides being in retirement from the sexual assault forensic nursing program, I have a daughter who's biracial. And she had recently started dating an African-American man who had a sports car. And she had called me one time and said, "Mom, I'm really afraid for Rashad in his car. No one's going to know he's a biochemist who's, done a lot of stuff." She said, "I've never felt this way." And that was, about 5 years ago. And that had always stuck with me, that my daughter would have concerns about her partner driving. In a way that she had never had that experience as a biracial person herself.
I think I just found these questions. Or we can just, do exactly that, like take your past submission and questionnaire response, and we'll use that as
Yeah,
as your
because it's the
response for
same
2026.
question, exactly, it's the same questionnaire, I
You don't
don't
want to
think,
answer them any differently.
well, and I don't think much information has changed in my
I
retirement.
found them. So,
You found my answer?
But not Tara.
Oh.
no, I didn't find, that would be amazing. I found the
Somebody
questions.
would have scanned it.
Yeah.
They-
You answered the first one. Please tell us about yourself. The second question, why do you want to be a police commissioner? I think you answered that. What do you believe the purpose and mission of the police commission is? I think you sort of covered that. You covered your life experience and education. You propose there'll be an asset to the police commission. And what traits do you believe a police commissioner should play? That's one you haven't answered. What do you believe a police commissioner should possess? What traits do you believe a police commissioner should possess?
I think the same things that make a good nurse, the ability to listen, the ability to be and stay objective, the ability to process and have critical thinking skills in order to understand what is transpiring in whether it's a report or a complaint from a town and resident. I think it's important to have all the information in order to make reasoned and deliberate decisions.
Very good. Okay, so we'll circle back, and it probably would make a lot of sense to continue our conversation in executive session.
That would be great.
Okay, that's great.
Thank you. And I hope, like Bilbo Baggins says, third time pays for all, because it was exactly a year ago today or thereabouts that I was interviewed again.
Yeah, it's a funny coincidence. Yeah.
It's a frequent thing, but hopefully it'll be my last time.
Bob, you want to join us?
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Welcome. So tell us a little bit about your interest in serving on the police commission.
Well, I grew up in New Paltz. I'm a New Paltz.
Yeah, I'll get you another one.
They just need a microphone, so. just-
Yeah, we didn't, this is a mistake on our part.
Yeah, you have to talk fairly closely to it,
This good? A
maybe a little closer.
little closer. How's that?
Okay.
What am I doing?
You'll hear your voice amplified, so you'll know if it's working.
Okay. So I grew up in New Paltz, went to New Paltz schools, went to college in New Paltz, served on a New Paltz police department. I have a business here. I'm a real estate broker. I sell real estate, and I'm retired. Right now I served 18 years. I started an office at State of New York. I was there was a new office that opened. It's called the Inspector General for Workers' Compensation Frauds. And I was appointed, actually, I started 9 months before. I was the Director of Security for the entire agency. So I ran this that security force. And then I worked as an Inspector General. I was there for 18 years. I'm still a member of the National Association of Inspector Generals for the New York and New Jersey Lodge. There's only 7 lodges in the country. I do that. I've been on a number of boards, police related, security related, that sort of thing. I was on Crime Stoppers, New York State Crime Stoppers. I was the treasurer there. I was the treasurer for the Ulster County Agricultural Society at one point. So I've done a lot of things that have to do with law enforcement and New Paltz. And so I think I have a body of knowledge that might be helpful to you guys. And I would like to avail myself of that.
So it seems like you have a fairly robust background as far as like familiarity with policing. Could you speak to, a lot of the community conversations that we've been enduring about, are we correctly handling the potential of like bias and racism and could be, discrimination against, other groups, could be sexism, could be LGBTQ, could you elaborate on, some of those challenges that we're definitely facing in New Paltz and broadly?
I wish I could give you the answer you wanted. I'll tell you what, I've been in this law enforcement environment long enough to know. I understand there's some things going on in the town. There's some friction, which no one wants to see. But I also know I don't know. I know what I don't know. And I am not familiar with the nuances and the what's going on. I really have not paid any real attention, and I would be mistaken to have an opinion. So I apologize.
Hey, William.
Of course.
So just to fill you in, we started the evening by speaking with Tara Fitzpatrick, who had previously served as a police commissioner. And now we're just touching base with Bob. Did you have a chance to look at the series of questions?
I did.
Okay.
I would assume you're saying, what can I bring to the police commission? And as I said, I've been 18 years, I was the inspector, I was the deputy inspector general, I was the acting inspector general a few times. I was an appointee of the governor. I served at the governor's pleasure. So at any day I could be, they could say, clean out your desk. So I started with Pataki and I worked for the next 3 governors. Matter of fact, 2 of them had me apply for an interview for the top job, which was actually reserved for an attorney. I'm not an attorney, so. But I think I have a good handle on how law enforcement agencies work, what's expected, and what makes things go well. I would hope to bring stability. I'd hope to bring all those good things we always talk about. You know, I'd like to have people take pride in service and the honor that they bring to our community and the state and the world and et cetera. So that's what I would like to bring if I could, or at least to try.
So do you have experience with working with like the union contracts and trying to negotiate and trying to, do you have like an understanding or any stories about trying to run the interference between management, the union, and do you have any things to add on that? Because I think that's probably something that we want to have on the, I don't know if that's an easy question for you or a hard question. We'll find out.
Fine. Our entire office was about 35 people. We had investigators, we had attorneys, we had forensic accountants, and I was in charge of running all of them day to day. That was my job. We were not union. As a matter of fact, the only way we could get our office started was to eschew the unions because tell you the story?
I'm more interested in like how
Yes.
like you in management, you have to deal with the unions, and I was looking for your
Right.
take on how that, like if you had a story or some experience in trying to deal with
I
that.
have some experience, but we were not union.
No, I understand, yeah.
When I was a police officer here in New Paltz, we had the United Police Federation, and it was run by a guy by the name of Ralph Purdy. And after many years, when I was back on the state, I ran into Ralph Purdy. We renewed our friendship, and he put me on his advisory committee for the United Federation of Security Workers. And I did do some work there, helping him get some legislation passed in Albany, and I worked with his fellows, but I didn't do the arbitration or anything like that in terms of the union. I was just a guy who helped them out. But I'm a union guy. I think unions provide a very valuable service.
Have you served on any other elected boards, commissions, committees within New Paltz government or school district?
I did serve an unexpired term on the town board. It was Tom Beninati's thing. I don't know if you know Tom Beninati or not.
He was my guidance counselor.
Well, yeah. He was a great guy. Wonderful. I started out when I left college, when I got out of college, I was substitute teaching for Tom, and we became very close. So when he left, he wished me to be on the board. Great guy.
What other questions do my colleagues have?
Can you speak a little bit on what your thoughts, position might be on, the importance of police accountability?
Police are accountable, everyone's accountable. And I think it's very important that I can't say anything less than everyone is accountable. Police officers have a very important job. If they do it well, it's great. If they don't, everybody knows about it, you know, so it's a funny thing, but I think accountability is the epitome of service. So, I don't know if I answered your question at all.
Sure.
Thanks.
Any other?
You know, you missed the
I'm sorry,
first.
I missed the first part.
That's okay, I'll repeat it.
I apologize. No, I do have a question. And again, I'm sorry if this has been addressed, but I'm sort of catching up.
Sure.
But just hearing you talk, it feels like you come from quite a sort of conventional perspective in terms of policing and authority. And I feel like there's a real desire in the community for the status quo to be changed and to evolve and develop in a positive way. So I'd love to hear a little bit about how you think, what's wrong with the current status quo and where do you think the future lies in terms of
Yeah,
the police commission?
I'm gonna push back on that question. I don't, I've heard more people talk about any other issue than this. Like this is, my constituents are not talking to me about this. This is not, I think your question is an interesting one because you're making
Are you saying there isn't a community that feels the status quo is not
I don't, yeah,
a good path forward?
I would say it's an issue, but I wouldn't say it's like this do or die issue.
I was really
Let's answer the question.
Okay, all right, I'm just,
It's not that there's a right or a wrong, it's just how
Yeah.
you approach a question like that. It's not really
yeah,
a
I just
question
think it's,
that has a right or wrong answer. I'm
Okay.
just trying to get to ways of thinking, how you are thinking about the future. This is about the future of Newport Police, and I would love to hear your perspective on it.
Overall, I think the police officer's job is very confined. It's categorized by laws, by policy, by, I want to get something. You guys are the legislative branch. The police commission is an administrative body. They don't make policy. All we do is make sure that people run within the guidelines of your laws, the state's laws, and that. So I don't see the police commission as setting new standards, anything like that. I think that would be a mistake to try to find new paths here and find new, that's not it. I think the job should be boring. It should be very confined, should be restrained, and it should be, if anything doesn't go right, the real purpose is to get it back on track, to get stability, to get harmony.
Well, I think that's the challenge is that one of the roles of the police commission is to hear from the community when things are not on track. And it's a lot easier said than done just to, redirect. I think, that's why we need a police commission is, to provide that additional layer to manage those unforeseen and oftentimes, very unpleasant and unfortunate circumstances.
Right. We want police officers who do their job, but we also want them to be compassionate and to be caring and have all those other, that overspin that we want to see in our, and I agree with you 1,000%.
You guys have any other questions? Okay, thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Chief, why don't we just jump into your unit report.
Okay, you got it. So for the month of June, we had one commendation. We received a written thank you from a resident thanking Officer Hills for assisting her and her dog during a fire call at her residence. We did not have any defensive action reports for the month of June. The July conversations with the police is scheduled for Thursday, July 23rd. And it's from 4 to 5 p.m. at Peace Park. That's all I have for the monthly report, unless anyone has questions regarding the training report or anything.
I think you responded to Kitty over email. She had some
Yes.
questions. You want to just summarize the answers to Kitty's questions?
So, the one I believe was regarding training. We still have a couple officers that are finishing up their training, I think was the first question. The second question was regarding how many calls for service we handled in the month of June. The answer to that is 1,168. She asked what those calls are. She asked for a description, but there's out of those 1,168, there's probably 800 different types of calls. So, we handle a plethora of calls from domestic incidents to foot patrols to traffic stops. There's hundreds of different types of calls we handle on a monthly basis. And then the other was regarding, she had asked about arrest statistics for the previous year, which is something in the month over month report that I do. For the month of June, we had 20, which is down one arrest from last month. Last month we had
What about compared to the June before?
June of 2025, there was only 16, so it was actually an increase of 4 compared to June of last
What
year.
about total calls?
Total calls, that was up as well. June of 2025, we handled 1,038 calls, so we are 130 more calls.
But June in general would be a quieter month compared to others.
Yes and no so in the 2025, there was only about a 20 call difference between May and June. And then July spiked about 100 more calls, and then it progressed higher and higher in August. So, with the college not being in session, it definitely takes a little bit of effect. Also, one of the things to consider is, like in most professions, people like to take their annual vacations and things like that in the month of June and July. So that can also result in, having one less officer on a shift or something like that. So that definitely could have an impact as well.
Should we proceed with the review of the firearms use policy?
Absolutely. So this policy primarily, I printed out, I realized I didn't include it in the email, so I printed out copies for you all of the form that I refer to, or that this policy refers to. Grab one, set it down, please, sir. Yeah. So this policy basically dictates that anytime a member discharges their firearm outside of training or recreational use, they have to complete that discharge of firearm report. And that is, we review those, they get forwarded to the on-duty supervisor, who is the first person that reviews it. Then it gets forwarded to the lieutenant and so on to myself. We utilize these reports to make sure the member that's discharging their firearm is and doing it in accordance with the different policies that we have, using it to evaluate our equipment, our training, things like that. One of the biggest things to point out is primarily, I would say 99%, if not higher, when these are being filled out, it's for injured animals. If a motor vehicle strikes a deer and the deer is critically injured on the side of the road, then an officer has to respond and dispatch the deer. They have to fill out one of these forms because they discharged their firearm. With that said, if we do have an officer involved shooting, they obviously have to fill out this form, and along with that form, they have to fill out an officer defensive action report, which goes into much more detail regarding, the use of force that they have to use.
Do you know approximately how many of these forms are filled out annually or monthly?
Just guessing, I'd say maybe a dozen or a couple dozen, depends. Again, it depends on the time of year.
Per month?
No, for the year. Yeah.
A couple dozen per year.
Yeah, probably about that. Again, it's come the fall season when the deer seem to be running more and things of that nature. We have a lot more car burst deer accidents. Officers are responding to a lot more car burst deer, and unfortunately having to dispatch the animals when they're there. That necessitates a lot more of these reports, but I'd say on average, we're probably around 24 a year.
And you said 99% of times that officers discharge their weapon, it's deer.
Or similar animals, yeah, wild animals.
What do you guys do if there's like a animal with rabies?
We have to call DEC, we report to them and then they come and
Okay,
pick up the animal. Yeah, anytime we dispatch an animal, whether it's a deer or any type of animal that gets struck by a car or something like that, we contact the highway department, depending on, whether it's a state, county, town or village road. After the deer is dispatched, then the highway department comes and retrieves the deer or animal and disposes of it. But if it's an animal that for some reason we suspect could be rabid, we contact the DEC and they come and do their whole process to test for rabies.
If my math is correct, sorry. If my math is correct, and 90% of 24 is really just one or two non-animal.
I would say overall, yeah, it's probably 99.9% because in my career,
Or discharge at non-animal.
yeah, so in other words, an officer involved shooting, it was discharged at a human. In my career here, I believe that's only happened twice, I think, in
How many years is that?
18 years. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. So out of that, we've probably done hundreds where they've been filled out for a deer or a fox or,
Thank you.
of course. One of the other things that the policy talks about is it strictly prohibits warning shots. That's something that is definitely, every now and then we get a question about it, but it's definitely something of the long past, at least in New Paltz, we haven't allowed warning shots, have been prohibited long before I was here and they continue to be. Other than that, that's really the review process, like I said, is the on duty. In the past, these reports were reviewed only by firearms instructors. We got away from that because it's more of we take it on more of a case-by-case basis. So the on-duty sergeant that is working when the discharge of firearm happens, the report goes to that sergeant because he has the overall knowledge of the case and what the circumstances are. So that sergeant reviews it and then forwards it to the lieutenant. Depending again on the severity of the situation, the lieutenant does a review of it and then obviously it comes to me for final if it's anything of serious nature.
Okay, any other questions on this policy? I'm gonna move that we adopt the minutes from the June 4th meeting.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
I move that we go into executive session to discuss the work history of a particular person and to conduct an interview.
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
Yeah, well, no, for a police commission, we can, I'm sorry, Tom, we can do that now, that's fine.
Public comment.
Yeah, that's just, no, please come and provide public input. Don't want to avoid absolutely anything.
Or this in particular.
No, anything. It's on, yeah, it's red.
Okay. Evening, my name is Tom Jelliff. I'm a resident of New Paltz. First off, I wanted to acknowledge your decisions, one, to destroy the surplus police weapons, and secondly, to conduct the near pass investigation into implicit bias at the police department. I think those were courageous decisions. Fair ones. Still, why haven't Sergeant James and Officer Milton been reinstated? And why hasn't Chief Sutton been placed on administrative leave during that investigation? Questions for the public. But my main points tonight are about the to-be police commission. We welcome that you're beginning interviews for citizen commissions again, right on schedule. We promised 6 months, here we are. We hope that it goes without saying that you will work actively towards appointing several minority New Paltz residents to the commission. We hope that you will make clear to candidates how important regular attendance is. Past citizen commissions suffered from a lack of continuity. We hope that you will give its operations your full support. One crucial item would be a sound recording system, you know the issue, that allows full remote participation and for the offsite minute taker, or will it be AI, to hear the proceedings accurately. Support also includes training about police operations and policy, but also about police reform and the pernicious effect of bias. Support also means access to authoritative advice, for example, about civil service and the collective bargaining agreement. Such training and advice could require money, maybe put some in the budget. Support also extends to clear expectations. The commission not be a rubber stamp for the police chief. That its members actively look into department operations to understand conformance with law, policy, and good government. That as a result, they will be able to evaluate the chief based on real acquaintance with how he or she performs their duties, not from a removed office. And we hope you will encourage the Citizen Commission to expand opportunities for the public to be at the table when policies are revised and when the need for police and other public safety services is assessed. Needs assessment. A final pair of expectations. On the one hand, that the commission work towards ever greater transparency in police operations, preferably using some labor-saving technology so that you can get some answers to your well-deserved questions about arrests, for example, and the races involved. On the other hand, the commission itself be fully transparent about its own operations, with regular reports on what members have done between meetings. Obviously nothing confidential, but public deserves to know that the commission is doing something. The history of citizen police commissions in New Paltz has been checkered. A key element of a successful commission is the members you select through this process, but it is by no means enough. There must be a shared understanding and shared goals, and above all, good faith among the commission, department chief, and the town board. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. If you can help at all with, making sure that as many people as possible who might be candidates know that they should apply, that would be greatly appreciated. We announced it a couple of months ago, and then we got some responses, but we 100% need more, and we need a good variety of individuals.
How many total will we have so far?
We've had a couple of people who submitted interest and then have said that they're no longer interested.
So what are we at?
I don't,
Okay.
I haven't done the latest calculation.
Okay.
Hi, Karen.
So before I begin my statement, I appreciate that Bob Gabrielli mentioned the word nuances, and he was reluctant to make I know, the question was, he understood that it's much more complicated than the community knows, and clearly I heard from him that the community is talking about it. So people are aware there's a problem. And, I also have some history with Bob. He and I went through about 3 floods together out there on Springtown. So I know so I know Bob from that context as well. So my statement is, as such, and I'll just read it. There's something going on in the village town of New Paltz, and I'm looking forward to the community of New Paltz getting to the bottom of it, and it is complicated. We have a bit of a situation here. There are 2 African-American police officers who were brought up on charges by the Chief of Police, Matthew Sutton. These officers have been on administrative leave since the fall of 2025. On June 4th, 2026, the charges against Sergeant Shannon James were rejected by a New York State labor arbitrator. As of today, New Paltz taxpayers are still paying for his administrative leave, and he is not back at work. The second officer, Jerome Milton, was tried by a jury in Ulster County Court and found not guilty on all 5 counts on June 6, 2026. He too is still on administrative leave. The facts of how this case got as far as the county court smacks of impropriety. Certainly confusion, at any rate, something, I'm not sure, I would love to know more. A citizens group has asked the village town board for Chief Matthew Sutton's termination. The town agreed to an investigation of the chief at the price of $28,000. To this alarmed citizen, there are a few unanswered questions. If Matthew Sutton is under investigation, why was he not put on administrative leave as well? As the officers were for 7 months and counting. Is there a risk that he has the power and opportunity to influence the investigation? And if the officers work for the town of New Paltz, why has the town board not facilitated their return to work? Neither the board nor the chief have reached out to the officers to let them know what is going on. What is holding them back? Why do so many officers show up and speak glowingly of Matthew Sutton, and how nice a guy he is in front of the town board at the June 4th, 2026 meeting? It appeared orchestrated, and some of the officers arrived in their uniforms and armed, an intimidating show of force. Matthew Sutton is still chief in spite of many unanswered questions, and it appears like he has some sort of power. This mirrors what goes on in our national government at the moment. Push power to its limits, ignore the rule of law, which must be challenged, which then ties up the courts in legal chaos, and play games to weary people to exhaustion and apathy. These are dangerous times all around our country, even in our small towns. A new ethos is being copied. Please pay attention. Thanks.
Thanks, Karen.
Karen, have you foiled the information? Because it's available now. I'm here, over here.
Yeah.
Have you foiled the information? Because you can find out all the information about this case right now, because they've all gone through.
About the what?
You can go find out all the information. There's no hidden information. You can foil it. Go foil it.
You should raise your voice ever. That's disrespectful of a senior citizen. Shame on you. You raise your voice in a violent way.
This is a microphone that raises my
No,
voice.
no, you're wrong. You should apologize to our senior citizen here. You should not speak like that so aggressively.
What? That's not aggressive.
Listen to
I'm
the
helping.
It's okay.
Listen to the video. tape.
Well, I'd like
I-
to say something.
It was not meant that way. That was not meant. No, I'm giving you information.
Okay.
I'm giving you information.
Can I talk for
Sure.
a second?
Mhm.
I'm a little oversensitive. I get hurt easily.
Okay.
But I'm also clear that I've been with these people for several weeks,
Mhm.
watching what's going on. There's a lot of information I don't know. Bob Gabriella says it's very complicated. I would say I know about 3% of what went on.
Mhm.
I'll be glad to look at your FOIL report.
You can,
But I-
you can foil it. You can go get old,
I
I'm
don't
just telling you.
agree. I agree with, Edgar.
All right, this was a,
That
okay.
your approach, you could
okay.
soften your approach.
It's
little
a
bit.
micro, sorry, I got,
Because I'm an old lady.
I disagree with him on that. I'm gonna disagree with Edgar on that, okay?
Yes,
You're
sir.
not an old lady.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm going to disagree, I'm going to agree with you and disagree with Edgar that you are not an old lady.
I didn't say it, lady.
Wait a minute, I'm not confused by that. I'm not- Old lady.
No, you're not. You're very nice.
I'm gonna be 80, kiddo.
Old ladies are nice.
Frisky
80?
kid.
Okay,
You frisky
okay.
kid.
Thank you, Karen.
Good evening. What information can be foiled?
You can foil,
Yeah, where do I start? sir?
you write what you want to write down. You write what you want to find out. Say, I want to know all the information on this officer and foil the town and go do it and get the real information. You can go do that now. We told you that the last meeting. Has anyone, no one's filed for it. The information's there. You're making it sound like the information's hidden. It's not hidden. Everything is foilable.
We have read the records from the court, the transcript, okay?
Did
That's
you-
what was factual. Have you read that?
Yeah,
Have you read the transcripts of the trial?
not the entire trial, no.
That's the one they made a decision. No, you haven't.
I just said I
Okay,
didn't.
okay, let's proceed. Dave. Mic is yours.
Good evening. First of all, just want to say thank you guys for your service in trying to make this community a better place for us to live. I take this personally, and the reason I'm taking personally, and I'll keep on saying this every time I get to this microphone. I'm here to fulfill our obligation. And my obligation is my civic duty. I have a duty, and as much time that I could afford to fulfill the obligation is I will try to do it. And the reason I take it personally, and I keep on saying it, I'm very fortunate in my life. And in life, you go through different experiences, and you wonder why you go through those experiences. When I hear this stuff going back and forth, it really upset me. And the reason why, back in 1983, I lost 243 brothers in one day. And when I hear this bantering and all this stuff going on, these kids were 18, 19 years old at the time. So there is a way that we all could live and respect each other. I know there is a lot of stuff going on in the world, in our country, but I believe there is a way that we all could live and respect each other and live in harmony. I thank you guys for even suggesting of reinstating the police commissioner, because the more people you get involved and we could bounce off ideas, it will help us to come to some type of resolution and live. I was at the case from beginning to end with Jerome at the court. I went to the jury selection from every day. Was up there from like 8:30 in the morning to like 5. And at one point I turned to my wife and I said, I didn't know much about what was going on. And when the witness and stuff was coming, I was very uneasy about it because I didn't know a lot. And I don't want to attach myself to something that is wrong, because that's what my reputation. But listening to the case from beginning to end, and after the verdict was read, you have people in the jury that was crying. I don't know what information, maybe I'm missing something. And that's why I said, sometime maybe we could have not a public, but we could have conversation to find out what we are missing. Because from our perspective, if Sergeant James and Officer Jerome, if those cases went against them, they would be out of a job right now. Now they were clear, and I'm still wondering what's going on. Where this is your guys' job. I'm still looking for answer. Like I said, I'm trying to fulfill my civic duty. I just can't sit back and just. So I'm looking to you guys to say, I need answers. I need to know what's going on against these two officers. This chief, he have a family. These two officers, they have family also. All we are trying to say, guys, get it together. You guys.
Let me just quickly try to explain. So just to provide some background. So I think it's important too that we don't conflate, the experiences of both of these cases, James and Milton's, and that Milton was found to be not guilty on criminal charges.
Right.
James' file was not reviewed.
Okay.
It was simply dismissed because the previous town board didn't make the correct motion.
Okay.
Like the charges were not reviewed by the arbitrator at all.
Okay.
So that's really an important distinction, at least with those two.
Right. And I thank you for the information, because this is the first time we're hearing back from you guys. And we came up here giving statement, and you're like, what's going on?
Because we're not going to comment on.
But just what you said,
right, because
that's all we need.
Right, but I can only say that because that's,
Right, and I understand that, but give
I'm
us
saying it's
something.
subsequent to those actions
Right,
being
but
taken.
give us something that we know that you guys are conscious of it, because I'm like,
We're unfortunately very, very, very conscious of it on a multi-time a day schedule.
Okay. And I thank you for that, for that information. And like I said, I work at the Federal Reserve for 36 years. I saw lieutenants, I saw chief, I saw people call on vacation and lost their job. I saw crazy stuff. I wouldn't like this gentleman to lose his job, but if what he's doing is wrong, something has to be done.
Yeah,
We all never walked the straight on. I remember when I was in the service, I did something wrong, and before he came to me, I went to my captain. I went to my and said, "Hey, this is what I did wrong. If grace fell on me, I appreciate it. If it wasn't, I gotta take it." No one walked a straight line, but we just can't have the community come in and we're reading statement after statement after statement, and all we just want is.
And that's exactly why we commenced the investigation.
Yeah.
And I can also share in response to Karen's comment, I have met, or not officially met with, but I have definitely spoken to both James and Milton and said, we're very interested in speaking with you as a town board. And we've, asked the labor attorney for the town to reach out to their attorneys. So we 100% have engaged with both Milton and James.
Thank you, and I just said, thank you guys, the job is in your hands. All I'm asking you guys, just do the right thing by, well, all parties that are involved, just do the right thing. Thank you again.
And can I say thank you for your attitude and your comments. They're very, very good to hear.
I love when you speak.
Edgar Rodriguez. I wasn't planning to make any statements tonight, but I will make two statements. One is, when I applied to be on the town board and I was accepted, and I have spent a lifetime volunteering for different groups, Board of Education, library, etc. I was surprised they told me you need to go to the town hall tomorrow morning to fill out papers. I said, fill out what paper? You are being hired. I said, I'm being hired. You're going to be paid to serve on the town board. I really didn't know that when I applied. Okay, I was really taken aback. So they sat me in a room and they gave me a bunch of policies to read. And one of the policies that struck me was the following. There's a policy that says that as board members, you cannot express verbal or nonverbal communication that offends the public. And they talked about faces that you might make, the volume of your voice. I was really taken aback to the details, okay, of that. And I suggest that all the board members should read that policy carefully, okay? Because there are certain behaviors that go on this table that are offensive to the community, and they're consistent and nonstop. That's one statement. The second statement I'm going to make is that I think I differ with the supervisor. The case of Channing James was a case of verbal discipline charges. And the PBA contract was being used, and it turned to a binding arbitration case. My understanding of the law is, because what I heard here tonight, the chief was nodding like this, and you said something that really alerted me right now, that you folks are thinking of bringing up charges against Officer Channing James again. My understanding legally, that case is over and those accusations are gone.
So you can actually, again, in terms of the FOIL, you can FOIL the multi-page opinion from the arbitrator. We will get that to you.
Well, I have read it.
Oh, you have?
Yes.
Where did you get it from?
From the person that did it. It was a public hearing. Do you recall that? He asked for a public hearing and the public was there and we heard the case.
It doesn't speak to the charges at all. It speaks to.
There was procedural matter, but.
It speaks to the procedure.
What I
That's all it
advised,
speaks to. It
what I
doesn't
advised,
speak to the
I
charges.
think you have not, and when I was on the board, we were not receiving good advice from our attorneys, the same ones they're using now. You should check them out carefully, okay? Because I think you're getting wrong advice. That's my understanding. If I need to be corrected, I will be corrected. But my understanding is that those charges, which, well, what I'm hearing, and now what we've heard from some officers also is that they're still coming after both officers. And I've said that loud and clear. Okay? Our current officers are telling the two officers in question that it's not over for them. So I did not plan to speak this, but given what you said, I have to make the statement in terms of the knowledge that I have. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Okay, I'm gonna, we already made the motion to go into exec, so let's continue.
Do we need a second?
You make it up. You had it for a while.
All right, I move to leave executive session and Kate seconded my motion. With the resignation of Evan Redmond, I move that we appoint Tyler White as the patrol sergeant to fill the spot that was vacated by Evan Redmond.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
I move to adjourn the police department commission meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
aye.
Should we jump right into town board?
Let's do it.
We'll stand for the pledge.
Get back up.
Pledge allegiance to the United States of America, to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Someone read the land acknowledgement.
Town of New Paltz humbly acknowledges that we are on the traditional lands of the Munsee, Esopus, and Lenape people. The Indian Removal Act of 1830 forced the people to relocate to inhospitable territory far from the bountiful valley and mountains we inhabit today. The town further acknowledges that much of the physical structure of our town and village was built by enslaved Africans who labored as the property of their owners until 1827 on this very land. We acknowledge the contributions, resilience, and accomplishments of the BIPOC community who have overcome historic injustice to inform our past and inspire our future. Please visit the resource library on our website to learn more. We encourage residents and visitors to learn more about the contributions and sacrifices made by the indigenous people and enslaved Africans by visiting the sites available on our website.
Okay. I just wanted to add a detail that I should have mentioned during the police commission meeting, that the appointment of Taylor White to patrol sergeant would commence July 7th. Someone want to accept my friendly amendment?
Second,
And in accordance with the applicable collective bargaining agreement.
I accept Will's friendly amendment. All in favor? Aye.
aye.
Okay, continuing with our town board agenda. Upcoming Office of Community Wellness events, there's the Summer Fun Barbecue Story Night on July 15th from 5:30 to 7:30 at Phillies Bridge Farm. We also have volunteer openings for the Planning Board, the Environmental Conservation Board, Police Commission, Historic Preservation Commission. Anyone interested should send a letter of interest and resume to Karen Morehouse at assistant@townofnewpaltzny.gov. I move the consent agenda, which just includes the meeting minutes from June 17th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Consolidation update is primarily that we are having our first of 3 public hearings. The first one will take place at 6 p.m. at the middle school on July 7th. And then 2 subsequent required public hearings will take place at 7 p.m. at Village Hall on July 15th and 29th. But before we continue, I wanted to apologize because I accidentally skipped over public input, folks. So if there's anyone here from the public who wants to make a comment, you're more than welcome.
Now,
Yes.
I'm going, he has asked me to read a statement prepared by his wife that may have time. But just one question, the announcements of our police commission, that's ongoing. Is there a deadline for the police commission application?
Just that we have openings now, that we're trying to populate it with
But
volunteers.
if you close the search, you'll announce that, right?
Of course.
Date for that?
Yeah, we're not gonna close the search until we complete all the appointments. That would be a very good situation to be in.
We would love it if more people would apply for it. That would be awesome.
There's a lot of interest out there, particularly from people. of
They
color.
need to apply. No one's applying.
There are a lot of people of color that are interested.
They need to apply. No one's
Let them
applying.
talk, let them talk.
Let me finish saying what I need to say.
Yeah. Okay.
Please. There are a lot of people of color that are interested in applying. But given what they see, they're hesitant to apply. And we are working on trying to encourage people to apply. There's a problem. Police commissions should have some people of color on it because you're dealing a lot with the question of race.
Can I just say that if people want to connect with town members individually, town board members to individually to talk about it, if they don't feel comfortable sending an application, that they should feel free to reach out.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, that really helps. Okay. His wife, this is Larry, Biden, and his wife is Cynthia Biden. She prepared this, but she could not be here. And Larry has asked me to read it, to the committee, and you received it. And also you would enter it into the public record of this meeting. And it reads, the recent trial and acquittal of Black officer Jerome Milton demonstrated pretty clearly that there is something very wrong with the current leadership of the New Paltz Police Department. In a process initiated and pushed through by Chief Matthew Sun over the heads of the Oversight Committee, Milton was accused not only of a handful of misdemeanors, but an actual felony. If he had been convicted, that conviction would have followed him for the rest of his life, not to mention that it would summarily have ended his career in law enforcement. Legally, in such a case, the burden of proof falls on the prosecution to present evidence that will convince a jury beyond a reasonable doubt. The jury wasted no time in acquitting Milton on every count. But the question remains, why were those charges brought at all? The prosecution not only failed to present adequate evidence, it failed to present any concrete evidence whatsoever. At least a dozen members of the New Paltz community sat in cold courtroom to a trial that was drawn out for 2 weeks. And they, along with the jury, heard hearsay, innuendo, and paranoia, sidelong agony, peering at minutes of silent surveillance footage of nothing happening, presented to prove things that were not in question anyway. And they heard the key witness admit under oath the testimony she had given to a grand jury was untrue. Meanwhile, the judge repeatedly had to send jury and witnesses out of the room so that he could rein in improprieties. The felony charge itself rested on the claim that Milton had issued a speeding ticket vindictively to a man dating his ex-girlfriend. Body cam footage had apparently been lost, see quotation marks here, but both Milton and the alleged victim were on record stating that at that time, neither knew who the other guy was. They also both agreed that Milton had let the alleged victim off with a warning about brass knuckles that he possessed. Yes, that was the core of the case. Why was the vacacious nonsense ever pumped up into taxpayer-funded trial? And now that wrongful accused Officer Milton has been completely exonerated, why has he still not been reinstated? And I will finish quickly. We are privileged in the New Paltz to have good cops like Officer Milton. A lawful community needs good cops. And one of the ways we show appreciation and respect for them is to have their backs as they have ours. Yes, Milton has been exonerated, but Chief Sutton, the man who has been trying to hound Milton and fellow Black officer Champion James out of the department, is himself currently under investigation and deserves to be. Cynthia Van Dyke, resident of New Paltz. I'll give you just for the record.
We received that by email and I shared it with each of the town board members too.
Thank you.
Thank,
Can I just say?
yes.
Yeah, I'm Larry Baden, I live up on the mountain. I have a beautiful house and been here 35 years and paid no attention to the police department for no reason. All of my encounters have been, in fact, positive. I used to work on Long Island, and my son we were taking care of him and quadriplegic, and I got a speeding ticket, and I was glad because I was racing to get home. I was anxious with the coverage there. I had no problem with that. Yes, I'm glad that I got the speeding ticket. Okay. Another day, we're sitting outside in my driveway, and my son was there in his power wheelchair, and here comes this staggering raccoon. Clearly, he's rabid, and rabies is scary, and his cats were there and interested. So we called the police department, and the guy came out and he shot it and he got rid of it. That's what that's my experience of the police department. They show up because we had ambulance showing up and doing stuff. I had nothing against police department and police in general. That is a propaganda from the right wing. There is not, in fact, a general protest against police, and no one hates them. I'm glad they're there. And I have a family, people who have been in, corrections officers local around. My nephew just retired as a sergeant. There is no problem there. I haven't had any problem. But the fact is, when I showed up here a few months ago, I mean, the cops were all out there with their guns, boy, they look really, well, was a terrorist attack something here? They were all lined up. What were they doing here? I'm 88 years old. I'm really not going to shoot anyone. I do have a shotgun because my father gave it to me. I don't have bullets for it. I never use it. It's 90 years old, okay? What was this all about? Police department? It's very interesting the way that people just do themselves in. They don't need me here. They don't want me to pay attention to how much I'm listening to the trial. And it turns out that cops can get up to $80,000 or $90,000 a year. Wow, Yes, okay. I'm just saying, you're making problems here that should not have been. And the fact about the trial, it was embarrassing for the prosecution. I'm looking there, is he doing this? And I voted for him. I voted for the guy because there's no one else to vote for. And he's just fucking up completely. I mean, what was this about? Okay, that's enough. Go ahead, enjoy yourself.
Thanks, Larry. Any other public comment? Okay, Chris, you want to join us at the table and give us an update on the Plains Road Water District 5?
So good evening.
Evening.
By
the way, nice job with the poll.
Thank you.
Me too.
I appreciate still working.
I appreciate that.
It's hard to hit one spot about Water 5. It's been going on quite a while. So, I'll hit the highlights of our issues right now, and if anyone has a problem, please reach out, and I could probably give them a lot more details as we go. Please remember, I am not an engineer or a geologist. So everything I'm being told and working through are from engineers, geologists. Everyone's got their own opinion, but here's where we stand today. Water 5 is made up of 3 wells. We have to produce a maximum of 400 gallons a minute for our Plains Road District users that haven't been totally hooked up yet, and for when the aqueduct is shut down, which we still do not have a date. Our take permit from the DEP, Department of Environmental Conservation, is 400 gallons a minute. So we have the ability to probably take more water out of the wells, but we are only allowed to take 400. In this whole process, the original design was 3 wells. During some part of the process, someone didn't do the math and took well 2 out of the equation. When someone finally did the math, they put well 2 back in, but it looks like it was hastily drilled and put in. So now we're getting, things morphed. A whole filter system had to be put in just for this well number 2. And with well 2 in now at I think the top GPM of 125 gallons a minute, with the other 2 wells producing 275 gallons a minute, we meet our 400. And, the crazy thing about it, and I'll give a little bit of background out of this, is we can produce 400 gallons a minute. That's what the DEP said we had to produce. Unfortunately, we also have to produce 100 gallons a minute at maximum for the Plains Road District. So we've now decreased our 400 gallons a minute that we have to produce for the aqueduct shutdown to 300 gallons a minute. I've asked a lot of questions. I haven't gotten any answers on how that's being fixed. So to the problem. The plan is built. it's in. We've had multiple engineers on this project. Unfortunately, the site engineer had passed away halfway through the project. There was another company brought in, Labella. And now they're there to make sure the plant is built as designed, not to engineer anything. So as the plans were built made originally, they're there to make sure that they're exactly built on the way it is. Unfortunately, when we went to do our water tests the other day, when we turned on PW2, there's this Cloyoto clay that's in there, and it literally plugged up $3,000 worth of filters within 15 minutes. We took apart everything. And if anyone ever like a tour of the place, please give a call. I'd be glad to take down, give you an idea of what I'm talking about. The engineer and I took all the filters out, we hand washed them, cleaned them, turned everything back on, and within 15 minutes, we were clogged right back up again. Problems with the clogging of the filters is that as the filters clog, our pressures go up and our GPM decreases. So we're running the pump at max, the fastest that pump can go. And within half an hour, we were only pumping 50 gallons a minute.
And the pump could burn out.
Yes, you're creating more pressure. So what to do? Once we get the water test back from PW2 to make sure that that iron and manganese is not present, which it can't be. So we're taking a test before and after the filters. We're assuming that water will be okay. We have the problem of this clay that cannot be in the system. The way I look at it now, along with this one engineer, PW2 is a non-usable well. Now there's, again, I'm not a hydrogeologist. There are ways of cleaning the well. So when you dig a well, when the other two wells are done, it's called, you develop a well. So you're in there with a machine, you're pumping water through it, you're pumping air, you're cleaning out the veins. And this could take a month, it could take a week. It's all by samples. So people doing the well knows how to do this. Apparently that was not done with PW2. They punched it. They didn't really bring it along. They hooked it up. They got all this clay. Someone re-engineered it for all these filters, and we still have the clay problem. We cannot be going through $20,000 of filters a week for this water. I mean, it just doesn't work. The filters are 4 inches round, as long as my arm. After the second pump, the first pump, I could pull the filter out, hold it, fill it up with a hose, and nothing drained out. That's how bad it was.
When will we get the results back from the DOH?
Right now, we're waiting on about 2 weeks to get the water test back. Then that will be submitted to the DOH. Then it's going to have to be a sit down between the engineers, yourself, the board, and where are we going, the DEP, where are we going from here? One of the things I would ask them is, I do believe we only need 100 gallons a minute tops to run all the people on Plains Road, 80 plus customers. And that's at peak use. Really, it takes 23 gallons a minute. So, and the two wells of PW1 and PW3, and that's the odd part, because 1 and 3 were dug and they're 20 feet from other. Number 2 was dug down near a pond, and it hasn't come through. But we'd like them to give us permission, at least that's what I would ask, if we can get the district running on the 2 wells that we know are working well.
I agree. I think that makes the most sense at this point. If we could get 1 and 3 online and the homes connected, that would be a successful phase 1. And then in parallel, we can, hopefully.
Right. 2 is only supposed to be for the shutdown to make up this extra water.
Is it possible to clean that up? So you have to run it and pump air in, you said, and
It is possible.
Okay.
So
Is that an expensive thing to try to just do, or is it something that's very expensive to do?
I would think it's less expensive than punching in a new well.
No, I'm just wondering, is it better to just try to fix it versus try to get the people's opinion on how to fix it, and then they say fix it, and we do what we're gonna do?
Well, unfortunately, that's what they've been doing. They've been trying to fix it,
Oh,
and that's
okay.
where these filters were added. I look at it as you have a cut. All right, we realize you put a Band-Aid on it, and then you do this. All right, you should have just stitched up the cut, and
Yeah,
be done
yeah.
with it, and fixed it.
That's what I mean, so what's the process for going into the well and cleaning?
We
I
have
think it's like a hydro.
We have to pull the pump out, pull the
Yeah.
casing out,
Oh, okay.
It's basically,
and set up a rig, go back in there, clean it out, and then look, Bella is, the engineers are very good with what they're doing. So
Okay.
they've looked at all the well logs, they've looked at this, and I'm sure they'll talk with a hydrogeologist who they have on staff. Part of this well with a small screen casing sits within this clay. Why they ever did that is no one can figure out, why don't you just, either you can put a blank in the casing so it's not in this
Yeah,
section,
yeah,
or you might pull it up a little bit.
yeah.
But
but any of those fixes cost money.
you're right, it's all gonna, and which means we're gonna have to go back to the DEP and say, look, this isn't working. You know, we're gonna need money to do this.
Okay, well, fingers crossed that we get good results back from the DOH, and then we can proceed with connecting the district.
Yeah, that'll be up to the DOH to say, yeah, I believe, yes, we could do it. I mean, we have more than enough water. You know, the plant works as far as design, you know, the pumps work and the computers work, but we're also getting to the point that the darn thing's been there so long offline, like I'm having problems with the generator. You know,
How much
it's
did you say 1 and 3 delivers? Cause I think didn't you say like
275.
275 each.
So they can meet the 400.
Well, no, I'm sorry.
275.
No, they're 275 together.
Combined. Okay,
So-
so that's what I missed.
Oh, okay, see, I thought the same thing.
Yeah, so they're literally within 20 feet of each other. So it's designed through the software. One will run, then 3 will run. And there are only a couple, I think there's a 10-foot difference between the two. 2 is the oddball in this whole thing. And then there's also, it runs into a 6-inch main up the building, which there's no way to clean the main out. So we've also talked about digging that line up, replacing it with a 3-inch main so we could scour it, and then putting a blow-off hydrant before the building. So when if you want to turn 2 on, you can clean it from the bottom of the casing all the way up to the building before you get to these expensive filters. Or if the cleaning of the well, we'll say, works, may not even need the filters.
Is there a rationale for why 2 is in a different place?
That's a good question. I don't, yeah.
It's just
Looking at it,
geology.
yeah, so in that area, you know, it's a large V. And they've done this by doing multiple boring tests across Plains Road, all the way across the river. We found that particular areas is in this V, and that's where you want to put your wells in the deepest part.
Yeah.
That could literally be drawing water all the way to the mountain. And, you know, as far in as the village or, you know, Cherry Hill area, whatever, maybe even further. But that's in line. Yeah, if anyone ever like a tour, please, I'd be glad to take you down.
I had someone I knew who had colloidal clay in their water and they tried over and over again. They didn't do the fracking thing, but took it. They gave up and then she just did a surface well.
You know, a place I've actually helped with, same thing, they had an artesian well.
Yeah.
And it had so much clay in it, they wound up abandoning it, and they
That's
actually
why I
ran,
was asking if.
yeah, it's a tough thing, you know, and it may just come out that this doesn't work here. We have to punch another well.
Right.
I have clay in my home system in the well, and we just have a series of filters and storage tanks in the basement. It looks like
Chemistry sub.
we've got our own little plant.
So we're just gonna keep our fingers crossed and hope that we get good test results.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a big plus moving forward to being able to get Plains Road turned on.
So you'll let us know when we hear back.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Excellent, thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
you're welcome.
I move to authorize approval of the Elting Library budget proposal increase.
Second.
This is going on the ballot. Is that the idea?
Yeah, I thought we did this at the joint meeting,
I thought we did too, yeah.
yeah. But let's do it again.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. recreation fee discussion. So we have this memo from Joanna. This all seems very reasonable to me. Someone want to move my authorization of her proposal?
I'll move it.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I request authorization to increase the fee to Edmunds for the tax collection module for 2028 for increased service and conversion fees to add a bill field in the software for $7,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Just, just to be clear, the proposal, the year one investment is 22,500. From what I'm looking at.
This is the tax
For
collection
for
module?
Edmunds.
Okay,
Software services subscription is 4,500. Professional services for installation is 7,000. Additional professional services 7,000. Conversion services 4,000. Year one investment is 22,500. And the annual is 4,500.
I read it as there's an increase by.
Okay.
7,500.
Right.
so that's a summary of the entire cost.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Next agenda item, I move to do the budget modifications for cost overruns, which are listed here. Someone want to second that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I move that we authorize request to increase the LaBerge contract to 22,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I move that we authorize to approve the town of New Paltz electronic funds transfer policy and procedures. Someone want to second it?
Second.
All in favor?
Can I?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, may I ask a question here? In the policy, in section 3, with the internal controls and separation of duties, when the accounting office is doing an electronic funds transfer, this is just a question, does the bank call the town to verify when these computer requests for EFTs come in from the town? I know there's a dual authorization, 2 people from the town have to sign off on it, but does the bank call and verify it?
I'm not sure.
Okay, that's just a question I have.
Okay.
Because there was a situation in, we'll say an unnamed municipality with a bank. They were supposed to call and verify, they didn't. And some funds went out that should not have, and it
Okay.
became a major problem. So
Maybe
it's
we
really
can
a
talk
Gene
tomorrow.
question.
I can
It's a
double check this with Maria and Jean. and I-
Yeah, just a Gene question. I'm curious just to make sure that when they're doing the dual authorization, somebody from the bank
Okay,
confirms that, especially perhaps just with sums over a certain amount, $50,000 is going out, somebody from the bank should call and say, hey, we received this, it's correct, right? Because when I use Orange Bank and Trust, when we send over a wire request, they always call and we go through the wire
so
instructions.
what threshold would you recommend?
Well, I would say anything over
Well,
ten
we-
thousand. If you're doing an electronic funds transfer and it's over 10,000,
Well, for checks that are over 25, we require 2 signatures. Is that a reasonable
Right, but
threshold?
checks-
But this would be lower.
for electronic, it's easier to somebody to hack in and
Yeah.
commit fraud. It's my only
Okay.
concern.
Well,
Check,
let's
they can verify
check with the
signature.
finance department.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I think I may have interrupted the vote, so I don't have any other problems with it. So I believe somebody seconded, so you can go ahead and vote.
Yeah, so all in favor of item number 8?
Aye.
Aye.
Item number 9 is a change order related to the project that Chris just gave us an update on.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And so is item number 10. That's also a change order for Butler Construction related to the water supply, reducing the contract by $11,030.40.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I move that we authorize prepay to execute payment for Tom's Repair Shop for services provided to the police department in April of 2026.
So they're getting paid for what they already did? Is that, what's prepay? So we're prepaying?
I'm not sure exactly. If you'd like, we can,
Let's table that. I also didn't know.
okay, we'll circle back on that one. So we can understand it better. And then the next item is, Seniors Community Cafe on Thursdays, the no fee discussion. If someone I'm gonna move that we go ahead with that, but, someone want to second it for discussion?
Second for discussion.
And anyone have any thoughts on this?
I mean, I think that the, the request is reasonable, but I also wonder, if we want to figure out a policy of what we do and do not charge for, if we're going to be considering it.
Mhm. So do you wanna, review the policy more broadly before we take an action?
Yes.
Okay, so then we'll circle back with that one. Moving on to 13, I'd move that we approve $650 for poison ivy patrol at the youth center and split the charges between the two departments. That's along with the community center and the youth center.
Second.
All in favor?
Right.
I just recovered from poison ivy, so yes, I agree on that.
And then I move that we authorize approval of a resolution endorsing the application of the Mohonk Preserve for a grant under Title IX of the EPA Act, that's redundant, of 1993 for a park project known as Mohonk Preserve, Inc.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And department head reports. We have these listed here. Do we want to bring anyone up in particular for, further discussion?
No.
Okay, any liaison reports folks want to share? All right, I'm gonna, anything else we need to discuss this evening? And I'm move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.